still testing?
Nope, I'm recording. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Catherine Griffin, and I am the coordinator for an inclusion program at this school, Capstone Academy in Milton. And I'm here to talk to you about why parents of children with autism need more resources in Santa Rosa County. Now, I experience lots of parents in high-stress situations. They're upset because their child has medical issues, or because their child is not progressing the way that they like, or they're not being socially accepted by their peers, things like that. And I think that a lot of this stress isn't necessarily from the schools that they encounter, but it's more from financial burdens, from having a child who has autism, having to take him to the doctor constantly, having to pay extra for school costs and things like that. The emotional burden of having a child who has a disability and they love their child, but there's things that you have to deal with on a daily basis that can be very stressful. So notice that I emphasize the word parents. Now that's because we're not talking about resources for children. We're talking about resources for the parents themselves. Okay, first I'm going to talk to you about autism. What it is, what it's like to live with a child or a person who has autism, and why that and how that can cause high stress situations. Now, autism is a development disorder that inhibits the brain's normal function with social and communication skills. And it usually starts to take effect from birth to 3 years, and it affects a person for their entire life. There are some people that overcome it and get to a higher function, but children with autism, they generally feel the effects. Okay. Now, we don't know what causes autism, but some doctors believe that it's genetic factors, mercury poisoning, vaccinations, things like that, but the cause is unknown. And the signs usually are your child will be disoriented, they won't be smiling, there's not a whole lot of social interaction. Basically, they don't act the way that a quote-unquote typical child would. They're not developing, they're not hitting their developmental milestones, things like that. Now, parents who have a child with autism can experience high stress because the children are not always accepted in a social environment, not only by peers, but also by adults. Now, part of this is from a behavior that we call stimming, and stimming is self-stimulating behavior that a child might feel compelled to do. They tend to do it when they're really excited or they have anxiety, things like that. There's several types. There is lighting up objects, snapping their fingers, there's humming, they'll flap their hands, they might jump up and down or walk on their tiptoes, things like that. Now, I have a recording, an audio recording of a child who is stimming, and I want you to listen.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's not that sound.
I'm so sorry. It's my daughter. I want to make sure it's not an emergency. Excuse me.
And I don't know if can you all hear that? Mm-hmm. Now, imagine if you are a parent and you've been working all day and you come home and it's the weekend, you know, it's Friday night, you're exhausted, you're hearing that whenever your child gets excited, whenever your child's doing something they enjoy, and you know they feel compelled to do it. But I can imagine, you know, having a 5-year-old, if she was constantly making the same sound, it would grate on my nerves. It would cause a high stress situation that would make me need a break. Now, children are also not always socially accepted because they might act out due to lack of communication skills, because not all children with autism are verbal or know how to express themselves. So if a child comes up to you and is trying to talk, but the child doesn't talk back, the communication's not there. They become frustrated. I want this, you're not giving it to me. So they might act out violently. So say a child acts out by biting. If that child bites another child, they're going to be labeled as a biter. So then every time a person comes near them, it's going to be, oh, you're going to bite this child. You need to back away. So they're not going to get that social acceptance that we need. And as parents, we want our child to be socially accepted. We want them to have friends. We want them to form relationships with other people. Now, I'm going to talk to you about what parents need. Through my research and making this speech, I found that they need face-to-face support groups. They also need a newsletter where all the information about their child is combined in one easy-to-access space, and they need a parents' night out. Go ahead. Now, face-to-face interaction is important because you can't really form a good relationship with somebody and establish their credibility over a computer and a chat room and things like that. And we need a place here in Santa Rosa County where parents can get together, they can share their experiences, share their knowledge, share all their tips and advice on potty training, on breaking self-stimulating behavior, things like that. They also need a newsletter. And at this place where they have their meetings, say if they had them once a month, they can have a newsletter, which would have things like updates on autism, current events, which raise autism awareness. For instance, I don't know if any of you knew about the Steps for Autism event that was held this Saturday at PSC. And, something like that could be in there. Parents, oh, I'll go to this, The parent question and answer page where parents could write in, I have this question about my child, if they can't get to the support group, and then other parents can respond. Also, a discussion page written by parents where they can write in, share an experience that they've had, something motivational or something that's been trying for them, a story about their child so that they can share. Now last, they need a parents' night out. Now I'm not talking about after-school care. I'm talking about after-school care, and not every night, maybe one night out of the month. The first Saturday of every month from 5 to 10, where parents can drop off their child in a safe environment rather than trying to find a sitter who knows about their seizures and who knows about their behaviors and trying to explain everything to them and worrying the whole time you're out, is my child safe? Is my child going to be okay? Are they going to have a breakdown because they're in this new environment that's unfamiliar to them? Where they can go and reconnect. And this is important because of the stress that they feel. They need that to reconnect with their partners, with their friends, with their families, and also if they have other children. Because you can't always, we always try, but we can't always take a child with autism to a place like if you have a child who likes Miley Cyrus and she wants to go to a concert. You can't take your child with autism if they can't stand loud noises. All right. Now that we've discussed what parents need, I'm going to give you some statistics on the growth rate of autism in our county. And this is why it is so imperative that we start giving parents resources now. In 2007, according to the Santa Rosa Proclamation, there were 1,000 children in Santa Rosa County who had autism. Now it is 2011 and there are 1,400. And this is just based on surveys that people actually fill out. Okay. By 2023, I estimate at this current growth rate, our population growth rate, there would be close to 4,000 children in our county with autism. And even if the growth rate stopped right now and no one else got autism from here on out, there are 2,800 parents at least already, not including family members, brothers and sisters, that are being affected just by our current rate. And these people need help just as much as the child. Now, Escambia County has already seen that this is happening. They've started support groups They have Autism Pensacola, which they have tried to reach out to us and make groups and things like that, but the information is not getting out to our parents. And they have Steps for Autism, which helps make their county, and they're trying to make our county a safer place for children with autism by raising awareness, providing tips for people on how to communicate, offering classes, things like that. There's also United Cerebral Palsy of Northwest Florida. They have created this school here in Milton for our children with autism, and parents find refuge here. You know, they come in, they have staff that they can trust with their child, and that is important, and we also provide information for them the best that we can for what's available here and in Pensacola. I think that we need these resources for parents that we discussed here. Not just in Escambia, we need them here with us, whether we hook up with Autism Pensacola or we create our own. Now, as you can easily see, parents are in need of resources here in our county. We talked about autism, we talked about what they need, and we discussed the growing rate of children with autism in our county. Now, how can you make a difference? Well, oh, you already passed it. How can you make a difference? Well, everyone can raise awareness. You know, everyone can volunteer. You know, they can go to Autism Pensacola, and even though that's not a Santa Rosa County thing, they do help Santa Rosa County. So they can go there. There is an Amazon.com link on the Autism Pensacola website. If you click on it before you go shopping on Amazon.com, they donate 15% of the proceeds to Autism Pensacola at no cost to the buyer. So that's a very indirect way of helping, but it's a way of helping. You know, parents, they need to voice their needs. They need to voice their opinions to their school officials, to their family members, to anyone who will listen. They need to get this out here. They need to raise awareness. They need to tell people what their wants and needs are and their concerns. They also need to become more involved by attending events that our county does provide, so they see, oh, there's a need for this. There's a ton of people at these events. You know, we need to have more. County commissioners and businesses, organizations, they can sponsor these events. They can sponsor resource groups. If we do have any in our county that come about after this, they can sponsor those and raise awareness. That's something everyone can do. They can raise awareness as well through their speeches, you know, whenever they run for office, things like that. School officials, teachers, caregivers, we need to listen to our parents. We need to listen to what they need. We love their children, and we try our best, but we have to love our parents too, because they need us too. They're dealing with a lot every day. And we can also donate facilities to uses or start providing programs for these parents, not just for their children. Now that we've discussed all of these things, I hope that you see parents need resources in Santa Rosa County, our county, and that you can make a difference. Thank you. Chloe, you can keep clicking if you want.